one thing that, like, almost on a journey as well, you know, in terms of doing evangelism on the streets, and some people, you can pray for them, they get healed, a great healing right there in front of them. They can have a broken bone or something healed and walk off not impacted at all, and not think about Jesus, or not give God any glory for it all. And so we thought, you know, we'd tried, you know, sharing the gospel by doing survey things or tracts, and we've been doing different ways, and I think they're all good. Like, I like them. I love handing out tracts, and I think that's a really good way of sharing the gospel, like a clear, this is the message of Jesus Christ, that, you know, He died for our sins and was resurrected so that we could experience the fullness of salvation, be saved, healed, and delivered. But it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge that we're still working through. Of what's the best way so that we can go out in the afternoon and we start seeing regularly, just it becomes normal to see 15 or 16 people get saved on the streets. We've had a few people here and there just give their lives to the Lord, but one of the most impacting things that we can ever do on the streets in terms of street ministry and just in evangelism in general, I think one of the most powerful ways is the healing is great, and I'm always going to go after praying for the sick, so I think that's fantastic. But something that we need to kind of add on to that as well. People need to experience the presence of God right there on the street. They need that tangible encounter with His presence where they just know, oh my gosh, a supernatural presence just came into the room or just totally touched them, where they just know undeniably, well, that was God. And that, so for myself, that's something that I'm beginning to kind of just incorporate more in my ministry and wanting to learn more about, like in terms of street evangelism. I want to be able to see people touched with the presence of God everywhere we go in a tangible way that actually really rocks them physically even.
So you saw those people healed miraculously, and obviously they were totally blown away.
Yeah.
So would you say there's a difference between that and them experiencing the presence of God?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely opened up a whole lot more than they would have if they hadn't just experienced some really awesome healing. So the healings was good. Like that really opened them up. But something that I'm learning is, like, for me, that's not good enough that they didn't get saved right then, because if they get some healing and they don't get to encounter Jesus, if they don't get led to Jesus, I know it opens the door for them to, they've had an encounter with, a supernatural healing, something amazing happen, but I want it to be more than that. I want people to start seeing people like just often, just becoming really, really normal to see, 5, 10, 15 people healed on the streets and saved in an afternoon. And one of the good things we're starting to see, and we're just learning about it as well, because a lot of this stuff is so new and actually, like, we're growing really quickly. It seems like everything's kind of on a fast forward. Like, it was only 4 or 5 years ago where I'd never really, 4 years ago, probably never really saw anything happen. And since then, we've seen hundreds of people healed. And now the thing that I really feel like the next layer that God's just bringing on top of that is He's bringing the prophetic on top of that. Because if we minister healing to someone, that's fantastic. If we bring the prophetic on top of that and begin to prophesy to people and start telling them, things that only God could know about them, and also things that totally encourage them, because it's just the prophetic is an encouraging ministry, and that really touches people. And I see the prophetic can really touch people even more than the healings. But then the thing that God really desires, and He is so precious to His heart, is that people encounter His manifest presence. And I think as well, I think it's probably like the height of His desire for us to be carrying His presence on the streets and people to have an encounter with Him. And it's been good. We've been learning to steward the supernatural through healing and signs and wonders and prophecy, and now He's starting to pour out His manifest presence.